I love the show. Well, what I've seen of it so far, Pete. I mean, it's interesting because I'm going to start by talking about the kind of location. Because I mean, I'm a big sucker for kind of crime thrillers and dramas of that nature. And I mean, you look at shows like The Wire, which kind of showed Baltimore off as this real character and for all of its kind of raw, real elements. And I think this show kind of does similarly for Philadelphia. Why do you think Philly works so specifically for this story? And did you have to do a lot of research when planning the show? And what was that research like as well?
I did a lot of research. You know, it wound up being at least a year. I mean, I did a great, and then I also was so lucky to have like great locations, and we would just go study different places. And then, Philly was really important because I think it's, you know, it's kind of that classic city that just is itself so much. It refuses to be anything else. It is rough around the edges. Everybody says that about Philly, but you kind of get hooked on the honesty of it. Like Philly doesn't have time for you. It doesn't care. It sort of punches you in the face, literally sometimes, but it also like wears its heart on its sleeve. It doesn't, you know, so I love that about it. I used to try to do it with Boston. I try to do it I worked on The Town, which did that for an area of Boston that actually had already been gentrified by the time we shot The Town there. But Philly kind of is, there's areas like Fishtown that are obviously completely gentrified, but Philly tries to resist it a little bit and tries to stay true to kind of the grit and the spirit of certain neighborhoods. And that's what I love about it.
And I did actually, talking of The Wire quickly, I did interviews a couple of years ago for the 20th anniversary of The Wire. And it got me thinking when I was watching Dope Thief, as a writer and kind of showrunner, do you see things on those long terms? In this game, do you always have to go season by season? Because you watch shows, I mean, even like Breaking Bad, and there's moments in season 4 where you think that shit, they definitely planned that in kind of season 1. They mapped that out. Can you afford the luxury of kind of mapping things out with that kind of long-term perspective?
Well, that's a really interesting question. You know, you wind up doing it a little bit. What you do is in the instance of something like this, like I have a notes file. So I have a file for all these things, like sort of things that I would hit way down the line if we did that. But it's not really a map so much as like a pile that you set aside for opportunities that you see. Because what happens is you're living so deeply in it. I know this is true of Breaking Bad too. I've actually heard this from them and The Wire. Like they're so deeply in it day to day that they're just taking notes. They're saying, well, this would be interesting to do 2 years down the line. I don't know how we'd get to it. And then what happens is you're so immersed that those things just do come up later. It's a vague answer, but I would say it's not an out-and-out map, but you definitely are thinking towards the horizon all the time. That's just how you work. Yeah.
I mean, you are sort of comfortably one of the industry's go-to writers now when it comes to kind of tackling existing franchises and breathing new life into them for kind of reboots or sequels. I mean, Batman, Top Gun, Gladiator, Bad Boys, Hunger Games. I mean, it's an insane list. Do you not feel kind of like any pressure? Because you seem to rise to all these challenges. And on that note, does it make a project like Dope Thief almost a slight relief to have that kind of more of a blank canvas, but hasn't got the kind of fanfare and expectation perhaps that the others do?
Well, the second answer first is, yeah, it is a relief. It's a relief for a lot of reasons, partly because there's room for invention, there's so much room for character in it, there's so much room to collaborate with the actors, and absolutely it was a relief, and I loved every second of it. The second part, in terms of the pressure, I know this is going to be a weird answer, but I'm so in the moment, I'm so day to day, I'm so process driven that I'm never even really thinking about any of that. I'm really always just thinking about the doing of it, and I kind of either I'm always putting so much pressure on myself that nothing else could ever match that, or I'm working with a director that puts so much pressure on both of us that nothing could ever match that. So I'm always in this kind of pressure cooker that's just of my own making, and I'm not that worried about how it is on the other side until I finally get there. Then I'm terrified. On the other end, then it's, at this point, I'm terrified about everything. So that's an honest answer. I apologize for that.
Thank you. I'm all out of time, but I also just want to say, love the theme tune as well. We're very proud of Little Sims over here in the UK.
Yeah, me too. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.